dispiriting, but also uplifting. You're disappointed, but equally joyous. You want to blame, but you want to also savor in the moment. For Indian cricket fans across the world, a quasi-Gruen transfer occurred over the weekend. Over in the land of Halim, Hauleloga, and Hapsigura, India posted a lead of 190 in the second innings and still lost. In another land aptly named Bris Vegas, West Indies were 5 for 64 in the first innings and they still won. To quote Ravi Shastri, in the end, Test cricket was the real winner. So we're going to discuss both of these games this afternoon. So let's get to it. We've got Manan, Puri, and Vijay on the Zoom. Ritvik Shekhar isn't here today because he's going to apply for Shreyas Iyer's spot, saying, bloody hell, I can make the same score he can. I can charge less for the privilege. If all else fails, I understand that he's also got an interview coming up to be part of the Indian selection panel. So, Vijay, firstly, do you want to wish Ritvik all the best for his job applications? And what do you make of the India versus England in a summary?
Absolutely, yes. All the best, Ritvik. It's not a tough job to crack, so I don't think you need our blessings, but you have them anyway. India versus England, such a humbling experience for India. Like at the end of day 3, it was India's game to lose. Nobody was even thinking about an Indian defeat at that point. Although, of course, Ollie Pop was still batting overnight, and we had no clue how to get him out. So come day 4, our batting woes were exposed. The wicket was turning, but not the kind of turn that you would see on a typical Indian pitch that's, impossible to negotiate. It was just very disciplined bowling from England. Their gamble of going with 3 spinners paid off, and how. And what to speak of Hartley, who had like the worst opening to a test career ever. Got hit for a 6 of his first ball of his test cricket career and 2 sixes in his first over, and then came back, turned the match around for England on his debut. So that's the beauty of the long format of the game as well. There is always a second chance if there's 2 innings, and England capitalized on the fact that India, I think we just got caught up in being too defensive, and body language started to show at some point, drooping shoulders towards the end of day 3. That seemed to continue on to the batting. And yes, again, the usual suspects failed. I wasn't expecting Shreyas Iyer to do too much. I was also quite disappointed in the way Gill got out, because that is the position that you've been awarded the honor of filling. You don't just go and go for a reckless shot the first ball that you're facing. And that wasn't even a shot. That was more of, wanting to put bat on ball, except that he did put bat on ball and the ball went straight to the fielder. So all in all, pretty disappointing, but I'm not that disappointed as well, because like you said, PK, there was another game that more than made up for the heartbreak of an Indian loss.
I'll get back to that game later. We'll just get back to that game. I want to get Manan's summary, and I want to drill deeper into India versus England.
So, yeah, of course, it was disappointing, but in a way, humbling as well. In the last podcast, we were almost giving India 4-0 and, Bazball will fail, etc., etc. In truest sense, they did not play that kind of cricket throughout. England did not play that kind of cricket throughout the game. They, played with their brains and not just hitting everything out of the park. Now, slowly, the mindset of basketball is kind of coming out in the open, that it's fearless. It is about not letting the game take over. It's about taking over, and it's not about waiting it out or anything, and just grabbing the game by its shackles. So that is the mindset, and it's great. However, from an Indian standpoint, second innings bowling was not great. I mean, you do not have 3 best spinners that arguably right now in the world are, and let England get away in this fashion. Day 3 batting was just brilliant from Ollie Pope and the entire England team. So all credit to them in the way they've batted. Good omen, because once we lose the first game, we'll win the next 4. That has been the case so far. I am disappointed with Gill, but I would still give him a longer rope for now, because that is not his original natural position to bat on and not his style. Number three has to be a Pujara like character, or yeah, maybe Ponting as well, who balances both. And Gill is not able to do that right now. I'm the most disappointed with Shreyas Iyer and the selection team, and that's why Ritvik is going to represent the common fans' angst on the selection panel, and the guy does not deserve a place in the side right now. Clearly. And
Well,
the wider point I would like to make overall is Rohit Sharma. I mean, had this been Kohli at the helm, that you lose the World Test Championship, you lose the World Cup final, your IPL form is not great, you've lost two back-to-back tests at home and everything, and still nobody is questioning him. Had this been Kohli, everybody would have been all over the guy. So there is a difference in standards in terms of criticism as well that I see here.
well,
Well,
I was gonna say, if a temple makes the news last week, you can be sure other religions will want a piece of the action. And yesterday or day before, it was the Pope, or rather, Pope, Ollie Pope, with his magnificent 196. Vijay, I want to get back to this, drill down a bit deeper. What did the England batters, more specifically Ollie Pope and the people around him, do that India couldn't? Is it just about
yeah,
moving players around?
no,
Or is there something deeper? For instance,
yeah.
both of you mentioned Shubman Gill and Shreyas Iyer. I'll give you a stat about Shubman Gill. In Ahmedabad, Gill averages 51. His total career average is 29, right? So, what do we always say? You look at the greatest number threes in the world, Steve Smith, Don Bradman, Ricky Ponting, Rahul Dravid, all of them number three. You have to be the most technically brilliant player to be number three. Is Gill number three? And is Shreyas Iyer, and where do we need to go beyond Shreyas Iyer? Vijay and then Manan.
Look, I'll answer your first question. I'll try to answer your first question first about what made England's batting work. Was it the shuffling? Was it Bazball? I think we need to look at what our understanding of Bazball is, right? And I think even Rahul Dravid, I don't think is sure what Bazball is. I don't think Bazball is just going out there and recklessly playing your shots and hoping that you find runs at 6 runs per over. I think we've misread what that strategy is. I honestly think basketball it's about bravery. It's about taking calculated risks. It's about, going out there and playing as a unit. It's about playing for your team and making sure that, you're at all points of the game, you are focusing on winning the game. And that is the sort of aggression. I think it's a deep-rooted mindset. I I feel like it's not just about swinging the bat at everything. And that is what Ollie Pope showed us in the last game. He was sticking around. He was taking his chances. He played a lot of brave shots, a lot of reverse sweeps. In fact, he got out trying to reverse sweep Bumrah, which I thought was a bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
But then again, that is the thing with baseball. It appears ridiculous. But there seems to be a method in that madness. There seems to be an inherent thought process behind all of those shots. Like, I think Joe Root being England's best bowler in the first innings was also an offshoot of baseball. You know what I mean? It's about putting the team first. It's about doing what's needed.
Yeah.
And I know Ritvik would back me up on this, but we are still emphasizing too much on individual glory in our team, which is why we keep talking about a star batsman not performing when they don't perform, as opposed to why we didn't click as a unit. I mean, what is Shrikar Bharat's role in this unit? Why was he brought in? And what did he contribute to the game? We're talking about Shreyas Iyer again, because Shreyas Iyer seems to not have that temperament. It's about temperament at the end of the day, right? And coming back to your number three position, number three is about everything, actually. It's about temperament, it's about skill, it's about technique, it's about playing that game, it's about hanging in there, it's about guts, it's about wanting, it's about grit and determination. You want to make sure that when your team is 40 for 1, you don't lose your wicket. You put a price on your wicket at number three. So I think it'll take a little bit of time. Gill is still young, of course.
Yeah.
But the overall team ethos needs to, drill that into whoever's batting in that position that, hey, you're batting in what's traditionally one of the most important positions in Test cricket. So here's what you need to do. And you need to put your team ahead of everything else. And I guess part of it also goes back to, the backing that Baz probably gives his team, that it's okay if you don't, if you get out cheaply, but make sure that your eyes are on the prize. And I'm not sure what that secret formula is, to be honest, but it does appear that everybody seems to be almost cultish in following that common goal within England.
Yeah.
And Rahul Dravid doesn't. I mean, we should be speaking about Rahul Dravid as well as a coach. I mean, so far his achievements haven't really amounted to much as head coach of India, and no one's calling for his head. I'm not calling for his head, but I am definitely questioning the lack of aggression, if you may. And I just thought India were a tad too defensive, especially when England were on the up and on the offense. So that may have been that may have had something to do with football.
No, I totally agree with you. I think it's about the mindset and backing players, like you said, right? Hartley bowled 8, 9 overs on day one, despite going for 80 odd. And, and Stokes was backing him throughout, even to the dismay and disappointment of Kevin Peterson or Harsha Bhogle on commentary. They were at it, especially with Hartley, and then he proved to be the best bowler in the game, if I may say so, in the second innings. So I think it's about backing players, and it's that mindset at the end of the day, and that's there. I think overall, an Indian team is lacking that killer instinct and that fight. Even if you're down in the dumps, you'll come back and almost try to kill the opposition. I'll never forget what Kohli said when we won that game in England. Let's give them hell for 60 overs. That is the mindset that one needs, and that to me is missing. It's not about skill. Yes, Shreyas does not have the temperament. Gill will find his footing and all that. But even Bharat, I'm not disappointed in him. He's done okay. I mean, 30s and 40s and 50s in the positions that he's come in here in the Australia series as well. And plus his keeping is very good overall. And he's improving a lot. So I don't have any lot of disappointments individually that way from these guys. But overall, as a team, I think we're not clicking as that killer unit that we were, if I may say, under Kohli.
Fair point, Manan. And Vijay and obviously Ritvik, who's probably in the interview right now. You mentioned about us at India talking about individual brilliance. So I want to drop you off this quote, ironically from the coach Rahul Dravid, who's probably the epitome of team spirit and team success. He said one of the key reasons we lost was no one got 100. And I think that goes to show like what kind of team this is now unfortunately slowly becoming. We thought we got rid of it when we started winning overseas team first, but looks like we haven't. All right, that is India versus England. Hopefully they move to the city of destiny, which is Vizag, and hopefully they the Telugu spirit will still keep them in the hunt.
Hopefully they'll dig a few trenches in that pitch now that
Yeah.
we've one game down.
I didn't want to bring up the pitch. I did not want to bring up the pitch, but anyway, let's move on to another game, which I think everyone in the cricketing world, even the players that took part in it, loved. I am, of course, talking about Australia versus the West Indies. Imagine this. It's a day-night game. You're batting first. You've lost 5 for 64 in the first innings. You've seen this script too many times. You've probably been part of this script too many times. Well, most of the players weren't. And then you have a partnership of about 200 odd. You end up 311. And then this bloke who was a security guard 12 months before, has never even held a pink ball before the test match, steams in and has the Australian cricket team for 5 for 24. That, my friends, is Shamar Joesph. That, my friends, was the genesis of the West Indian victory. It was a victory that, in commentary, you saw Adam Gilchrist and Brian Lara hugging it out. You saw Carl Hooper driven to tears. You saw Ian Bishop, who I wish was on commentary when Shamar Joesph took that wicket. But Ian Bishop, surely we need to remember the name. Boys, Australia versus West Indies. What do you think? And where do you think the West Indies won this? I want a cricketing nuanced view on this as well.
So I think the last game where we talked about, there was that killer instinct. We were talking about how West Indies showed that spark and what Pakistan also showed, and eventually somewhere they falter, in these guys. And this time they did not. Every step of the way, I won't say they were ahead with the game, they just did the basics right. Again, that killer instinct was there. These bunch of almost nobodies, five of them or six of them have less than 10 test matches under their belt, and it was a never give up attitude throughout the game. Yes, we'll talk about Shamar Joseph because he deserves that limelight. But overall, look at the partnership that happened and the entire, batting unit till the end. Even Kemar Roach has found his like mojo in batting now, which he never had. And unsung hero has been around forever. I don't even remember since the first time I saw him. And then the even Brathwaite, the captain, does not seem like an imposing presence, right? It's those quote unquote, bits and pieces cricketers who have come in and who've done really, really well. Go back to the New Zealand of the late 90s, early 2000s. No one star, but
Daniel
everybody would
Latorre.
chip in. Not that time, at least in the end, right? McCallum and Williamson and all that, those folks came out later, right? And effectively these guys just did so well. And we should also thank our friend Rodney Hogg as well. Till yesterday nobody knew who he was, and of course those two words put that killer instinct in him. And then of course Shamar Joseph, it's that attitude at the end of the day. I remember Kurt Angle in WWE, he used to say, I won the gold medal in Olympics with a broken freaking neck, and this guy won you the game with a broken freaking toe. And he was limping away when the dinner break happened, and you could sense, will he come back or not? And then he came back, and what spell, man, what
Yeah,
spell.
and unlike wrestling, this was a real sport as well.
Real sport, yes. But he won Olympics, which was a real sport. So overall, I think it was great for Test cricket. I just hope that this continues and he does not get into. I'm sure he should play T20s and all that, but Test cricket as a whole still needs that impetus that we were talking about last time around. They need that fire. This needs to continue in terms of tours. And Australia, if they're trying to talk about how good they are in terms of promoting the game, they've not traveled to Zimbabwe since long. They've not gone to Pakistan. Sorry, they've not gone to Sri Lanka and a few other places for a very, very long time. I don't even remember when they were in West Indies last. So they need to do a lot better also.
Go, Vijay. What do you reckon?
Well, we were talking about team spirit. This is the best example that I can find. Like, West Indies plays like a different set of 11 people. We hear about like a different new set of 11 people every time they play a series or a game. Like, who is Kirk McKenzie? Who is Cavum Hodge? Who's Joshua De Silva? These are all like names that you don't really hear often, but all of these people have contributed to this amazing victory that they had against Australia. And okay, let me first clarify. I don't think the reason for Australia's loss is that Pat Cummins got woke and said that he wouldn't acknowledge Australia Day. Just putting it out there. And yeah, I think it was a bit cocky for Australia to declare 22 runs short. In the end, that came back to bite them. Possibly. I mean, for all you know, Shamar Joesph might have just picked up that last
Yeah,
wicket.
you never know. I mean, that's what Pat Cummins said. You never know the other side, do you?
Yeah, it was a calculated risk, and Australia was going for the win, as they always do. So I wouldn't blame them. But yeah, kudos to the West Indies. I really, really hope this is a dawn. This is the break of a new dawn for West Indian cricket. And I see a lot of comments blaming IPL, and like even the great cricketers were making a snarky remark about how we're all going to be focusing on the IPL, and that's what they're more keen about. I don't think BCCI is responsible for developing West Indian cricket. If anything, the Australian team needs to start touring all these countries and look outside of the Sena countries in India for their revenue. So, if anything, all these big boards need to do more for developing Test cricket in countries like West Indies or Bangladesh or in other places. Because India has actually been touring all these places. So, the onus is not on the BCCI right now. It's on the ICC. It's on Cricket Australia. It's on Cricket South Africa. It's on ECB. So, in terms of what went right for the West Indies, pretty much everything. And Shamar Joesph absolutely killed it. And he was just amazing.
Manan, as I was saying, Manan was just out doing a referee call for Ritvik, so it looks like there's some good news on that front. But you're right. Australia needs to do more. They need to travel more. And who the hell is Rodney Hogg? The bloke sits 30th in terms of number of Australian Test cricketers wicket-taking list. He doesn't even rank in the top 150. No one gives a damn who he is, but he called it pathetic and useless. And this could have been the West Indian version of not the version, the second avatar of the West Indian version of Grovel that Tony Gregg used. So, if this means that West Indies cricket is going to get through a new dawn, love it. So on that note, I think we also need to end our podcast. Everyone's leaving. So once again, thank you very much for listening in. Please do subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast to get the latest updates. Once again, thank you very much. Have a good evening and happy cricketing, whether it's watching, playing, or talking about it. Thank you and have a good day.